Hello, my amazing friends. Today, we will be talking about sugar and how it affects our body. I'll try to make the video short so that this is video one, and then there might be a video 2 or 3 for the other parts of the sugar. So this is part one. So I have read some shocking numbers, and I wanted to share with you. The first one is that we are consuming as much as 152 pounds of sugar per year. And the fact that one can of soda, 120 ounce of can of soda has 16 teaspoons of sugar. So the problem is not actually the sugar that we add to our own food, let's say coffee or drinks that we might have. It's actually the amount of sugar that is already added to the food that we purchase. So by food industry, of course. Once we are having, let's say, coffee or our tea, do we add 16 teaspoons of sugar in that 1 cup of coffee? No, we might add 1 or 2, and some of us may not even drink our tea or coffee just like that. And the worst is that the children are now exposed to too much of sugar, and so much of disease and diabetes and kidney issues and liver issues and all that is happening. And another shocking thing is that 75% of people who go to emergency room due to heart attacks, they already have diabetes or pre-diabetes case. And which was, if they were pre-diabetes, obviously they were undiagnosed. And also cancer is rising. Cancer is very much driven by insulin resistance. All kinds of cancer, pancreatic, breast, colon, prostate cancer, all of that. And all the age-related disease, that things that go wrong with aging also is worsened by the sugar and starch in the food. Another number that I read is 93.2% of Americans have metabolic dysregulations. So see, once sugar touches our tongue, our brain goes into starting the production of insulin through pancreas and causes to store the fat. So it shuts down the metabolism. So that is how by and by, this is repeated, it leads to diabetes, type 2 diabetes, obesity, all kinds of symptoms, joint pain and sleep issues, migraine headaches and whatnot. And the problem is that it is sugar production not only affects our physiology, it affects the Mother Nature's physiology as well. For instance, it is extremely toxic to environments and oceans and lakes and waterways because the massive amount of pesticides that is being used for sugar production, sugar cane, sugar beets, is produced. And glyphosate, we know that is cancer causing, and it just destroys the microbiome. There was a study at University of North Carolina on Splenda, the sweetener Splenda, that only 10% of the Splenda is being absorbed by our body. The rest is flushed out to waterways. And Environmental Protection Agency is concerned about this contamination of so much of pesticides in water. There's a new pesticide that I learned called nicotinoids that in sugar production is being used, and that is harming the honeybees. So we see that this is extremely for the whole planet, whether the nature or humans, and obviously animals as well. This sugar is really doing really wrong and dangerous for everyone. Now let's talk about addiction. So sugar addiction the studies shows that it's similar to cocaine addiction because it affects the dopamine receptors and dopamine production. it's a feel-good hormone. So once we have sugary cake, let's say sweet cake, obviously we feel good and everything. But later on, the consequences are, and that is why it's so difficult for people to eliminate sugar. Once we tell them stop having a sugar, because it's really affecting the brain and brain chemistry. And they have seen that sugar addiction diminishes the mental capacity. Once the A1C is higher, A1C, by the way, is the the measurements of average amount of glucose in 3 months in the blood, in the past 3 months. So once this A1C is by and by is high and high and high and high, it has effect on brain size and causes brain shrinkage. Even people without diabetes, this brain function and cognitive function will be diminished. So it's because of the high amount of sugar consumption. The cognitive function will be lowered. Doesn't matter whether you're obese or not. So this brain chemistry is altered. That is why the sugar craving is so much. And before we used to say, okay, sugar is just calorie, but it's not only calorie, it affects the whole chemistry of the body. As from depression to diabetes and cancer and dementia and stroke and joint pain and obesity and infertility to all kind of metabolic dysregulation is the consequence of consumption of too much of sugar. But then why we are eating this so much? And I must mention that even if you are not obese, first of all, too much consumption, it causes overweight. But even if you consume too much of sugar, you might be skinny, you might be underweight, you might have a normal weight, but there is fat accumulation inside the body and body organs. So we have to be really mindful about reading the labels and really not to purchase any added sugar to our food when we are purchasing our food from stores. So I stop the video right here and I continue with artificial sweetener next time. So that I make the video short as much as possible. Thank you.